for good, I'm Danny Green. This is Crypto Changemakers, a podcast where we hear from social entrepreneurs, creators, and artists who are using blockchain technology and NFTs to do good in the world. I'll try my best to not use any jargon because I really want to tell this story that crypto is unlocking new possibilities in philanthropy, equity and diversity, and financial inclusion. Though NFTs and cryptocurrencies can be bought and sold, this show is not financial advice. Today we are learning about a new NFT collection called Womenrise from its creator Maliha Abidi and project director Ozki. Maliha is an internationally acclaimed writer, visual artist, NFT creator, and activist. She has written 2 books, and her work has been featured in the New York Times, Good Morning America, the BBC, and more. She is a passionate advocate for social justice, including women's rights, gender equality, girls' education, and fighting for marginalized communities. Maliha and Ozki, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Danny. We're really excited to be speaking with you and to be on the show.
Wonderful. Maliha, you have a powerful voice as an advocate for mental health, women and girls, and social justice issues. Was there a moment or an experience that led you to choose this life path or to use your voice in this way?
Yeah, there are a few. I haven't really reflected on it unless people ask me this question. And recently I've been asked this quite often. So when I reflected, there were a few moments that came to my mind. One of them being the Chapel Hill shooting that happened several years ago. And I think when I used to live in the United States, I just always felt why is this not on mainstream media? And I slowly, when I started to talk about it with other people in the community had similar concerns as well. So I think to kind of remedy that and also to kind of feel okay, I'm contributing in terms of spreading awareness or whatever, at that time I thought I could do. I started to create illustrations to process what I was seeing and how it was impacting me, even though I wasn't the victim. But so basically in the Chapel Hill shooting, 3 Muslim students were shot. And yeah, so that was something quite traumatizing, but at the same time, it was something that, in terms of media, nobody was really talking about it initially. And that was one of the things. And then another thing is, I remember and that's kind of, so that's the social justice or how art kind of connects to it. But if I talk about something more personal, I think my move to United States when I was 14, really, that was kind of a dark time for me, just because of the culture shock, the, immigrating at that age when you're kind of set in your ways. I was set in my ways in Pakistan and I had friends and I had a community and everything. And then moving to a new country where everything is just different. And I didn't feel comfortable. And, so art became kind of my outlet to deal with that and process it all. I used to create art even before that, but that's just kind of a personal thing, how kind of art became this emotional tool, to deal with emotional stuff. And another thing, which is the feminism or the feminist side of things, is when somebody close to me, got married at a very young age and we're the same age. And they, when I just saw the events that followed, I was 15 at the time. So were they, or 14 or something. And then just kind of, at that time I was oh, this is quite normal, I guess. Even though nobody around me was going through that, it was just that one person. I was okay, that's normal. And I just accepted that. But later, the things that followed, something in my mind was this would never happen if this person wasn't this young. And so, that made me think about child marriage, or why is this even a normal thing, or why do we think about it in a normal thing way? And of course, then I connected to other things like education, or, just talking, having a certain rights as a girl or as a woman. And so, yeah, there are different times during my teen years that kind of motivated me to think about various topics that are close to my heart now.
Yeah.
And art was just at the center of it all.
Mm. Why is art at the center of it all? How do you feel that art kind of helps to inform your kind of emotional response to either these traumatic events or to kind of being a voice for change?
Yeah. I mean, I never intended it to be like uh, myself to be a voice for change. I don't think like I am. I do believe in amplifying voices. And that's what I try to do with my work. And why art? I think it just comes very naturally to me. Like I said, something that I've been doing. Like I think we all create art, right? Like I don't think I've ever met a person who's like, yeah, I never created like art as a kid, right? Like that was like an activity that we all do as children. Um, so it's just something for me. Like I never stopped creating art, and it comes very naturally to me. Like I think about the same thing like about music, like how music is something that's such a alien topic to me because I'm not a musician. I don't know how to play a guitar. And I just get fascinated by musicians. I was like, oh my God, they're so talented. Like how do they do it? Right. And then I think it just comes naturally to them. Just like art comes naturally to me. Not to say I'm talented like a musician. I'm just kind of talking about like how creative things come naturally to different people.
No, absolutely. And I hear your humility coming through this. I think you actually are quite talented as an artist. And I'm the opposite as you. Um even as a kid, like I was afraid of drawing. I think I'm still afraid of drawing, but I can pick up a guitar or I can, be on stage, and that feels like about an expression of creativity that always fit me better.
Right.
You mentioned that you don't know if you're a voice for change, but you like to amplify voices for change, and
Yes.
I think that definitely comes through in your work. I know that you've written 2 books. One book called Pakistan for Women: Stories of Women Who Have Achieved Something Extraordinary, and now you have a second book, Rise: Extraordinary Women of Color Who Changed the World. So clearly, you're amplifying voices. And you have a passion for sharing the stories of these incredible women. Is there a favorite story or an inspirational figure of yours?
Oh, that's such a difficult question. But I do have like a few women that I kind of turn to when I'm trying to kind of educate myself more about, just different topics. Angela Davis being one of them. Um, just her feminist theories like are something that, that really inspire me. And I like to read about, read the things that she has written. Like I can listen to her talk like about anything, honestly. Like she talks about really important stuff, of course, but she can be talking about a taco and I'll listen to her like for hours. um, and then I feel like, okay, so Minjin Lee, like she's an author, but she's not in my book. She is an American Korean author, and her book Pachinku, like that was a life changing book for me. So it's just like she's somebody. I have created like her portrait for another project. It's not for one of my books, but in general, like she's somebody. Her story really inspires me.
Hmm. Hmm. Beautiful. Well, let's talk a little bit more about Women Rise, this new NFT collection that you're about to launch. We're actually recording this about 1 week before the public launch of Women Rise. You both must be so excited. Can you tell me about the collection and what makes it special or unique?
Yeah, sure. I can start and then Maliha can add to it. So Women Rise is a collection of 10,000 NFTs that represent women from all walks of life. Artists, activists, pretty much any walk of life. And it all just started from the inspiration that Maliha has from working in the space. And I don't know, Maliha, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so it's kind of like my journey into the NFT world, or like even Women Rise, how we came about, like, working on this project is kind of like an extension of my work that I've been doing for the past 9 years. Like as an artist, as an author, as an activist. I've worked with various organizations and I've created like a lot of campaigns through art. Um, so that kind of inspired when I wanted to enter Web3, and Aski was actually the one who inspired me, who actually encouraged me a lot to, hey, have you seen these NFTs? Have you seen what's happening in blockchain? And before that, my cousin, who's the developer on this project, actually just used to bug us about crypto and Bitcoin, and he used to talk about it so much that it became noise to us that we didn't used to pay attention to it. He's like, I've been telling you guys since 2010. Why are you not listening to me? So yeah, it's just I wish I would have listened to him about Bitcoin. But in terms of NFTs, it was definitely Aski who encouraged me, and he would just bring YouTube videos or an article, and he's like, oh, do you want to hey, let's watch it together. And that's how I kind of started to learn more about it. But women
rights,
I
feel like everybody has a crypto story, right? Everybody has that, I bought Bitcoin back in 2013, and then I sold it in 2015, and I made $100, and I would be a multi-millionaire if I hadn't sold it, right? Aski, what was your introduction to either cryptocurrency or to Bitcoin? Or to NFTs?
Yeah, so I used to live in Dubai. I lived there for a year and a half, and that was, I think, in 2015. That's when I first heard about Bitcoin. It didn't make much sense to me. I was like, what is this thing? It doesn't make any sense to me, and so I almost disregarded it at that point. And then it was in 2017 when my younger brother and my father, who actually realized the potential in crypto, and it was the same time when I was researching into different investment opportunities as well. So Bitcoin, that's how I was introduced to it, and then we started. We kept our distance in the beginning. We started some investment here and there. But it wasn't until earlier this year when NFTs, when we realized about NFTs, that we realized the true potential of the blockchain technology. And that's when I really started to do my research as to what is blockchain, why is it needed, why is it important, and where is it going. So up until then, it was all about, investment and something to have in your portfolio from a diversification perspective. Because I've got finance background, so I was looking at things from that perspective. It wasn't until NFTs that I realized the true potential of it. And I guess, Maliha can obviously talk about the social aspect of it. I think NFTs are so powerful. It has so much potential that once you realize what we have in Web 3.0 in our hands and what we can achieve with it, it just blows your mind. And we're very early in this. We're very early in this space, and I'm so glad that people are, seeing the potential in it and seeing the right side of it. So yeah, it's yeah.
I second this. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about the potential of it, and I'm really interested in exploring kind of the social potential of it or the social impact potential of it. So how is that playing into the NFT collection that you're building?
Yeah, that's playing into, our NFT collection from anywhere, from it being like a source for us to make some donations. To certain charities that I have worked with, or certain organizations I have worked with in the past, such as I have a 3-year-old relationship with Malala Fund. I have a relationship with Girl Effect. I've worked with them. I have worked on 2 campaigns with the PAD project. We worked on the recent campaign we worked on was for Afghan Girls School, Sola School, which is the 4th organization that we're supporting. So it's anywhere from us contributing to these organizations to Women Rise team building the first school in the Metaverse. And we're already, working on that. So it's quite for us, we see it as a very radical tool. Can you imagine 129 million girls around the world being out of school? And that's that became even worse because of the pandemic. But can you imagine them not depending on a physical school, like a building or physical books or any authorities, for example, what's happening in Afghanistan? um, like how they're not allowed to go to school anymore. And, being in the metaverse, they won't have to rely on all of these things. It will be decentralized, and they will have access to global teachers. So we have a very extensive plan for that. But in terms of like the social aspect of women's rights, yeah, it's starting as an NFT project. Soon it will be an organization for women's rights.
Yeah, let's come back to the NFT project in a second. I really want to understand this school in the metaverse and what this vision is. So how is this different than just like signing on to Zoom and, listening to a teacher? Like what is a school in a metaverse?
Right. So when I think about like, let's say, so I'm currently a student as well, and I hate Zoom classes. Whereas if you ask me about my school experience, or my, class experience, like going to campus and actually, being on campus and interacting with other people and just being in that atmosphere, I feel like I would pick that over, Zoom education any day. So it's not just online education. It is like an immersive experience. And, you like being able to just like make new friends, meet new classmates, learn in a completely new way that is inevitable. Like tomorrow, we're talking about this today, tomorrow it will be the norm. So that's how it's different. Like we will start with something small. We are talking to some of the metaverse companies, like we're in touch with them, like Superworld, Decentraland, and also Spatial. But like, I really want to work with a company that's, that truly understands it, and sees understands our vision as well, because this will be like an experience for like students. If I know, like, we do dread going, like, I do remember going to like school and dreading it, but maybe it will be more exciting than that, right? Like I miss it now. At that time I was dreading it, but now I miss it. But just to create that experience. And also, I have a huge problem with the education system anyway, so reimagine the education system as well, because I don't think it's actually teaching the students anything. And just, so reimagining education, reimagining attending school, and bringing that into the metaverse, in honor of all the children and girls who, girls and boys who couldn't, who didn't even have this basic human right to get their education in the first place.
And I think there's another aspect to that as well. I mean, both me and Maliha, we did our schooling from Pakistan. So in our schools, we used to have these computer labs. So even if anybody didn't have a computer at home, they would have these computer labs. So we were just thinking about, like, wouldn't it be so great, or wouldn't it have been so incredible if you log on to your computer in your home or in your computer lab, and you were able to virtually walk into a classroom where you were joining in from Pakistan, you have somebody else joining in from America, somebody else joining in from Nigeria, somebody joining in from South Korea, and you can communicate to them, being a child, and just learn from them, learn about different cultures, learn about different languages, just get that kind of exposure.
Yeah.
So I think we have been talking to different organizations and different platforms about it, but it would be really interesting to see how it's all gonna work. Yeah. I mean, we've got a vision of it in mind, but it'll be really interesting to see how we can execute that.
Definitely, yeah.
On Twitter right now, I think it's a robust place for people to be able to connect from all over the world, right? I'm connecting with people who are interested in NFTs who are all around the world. But why is the metaverse kind of a different place for people to be able to connect globally than just kind of what you can do on Twitter or on Facebook or anything like that?
I think it's quite a natural transition, isn't it? Like, we were in Web 1 and then we're like currently in between Web 2 and Web 3. So I think Web 3 is the future. So I think that's why people are just kind of, I mean, there's so much. I don't know. Were you at NFT NYC?
Yeah, actually, I did go.
I'm
sorry
awesome.
We didn't get to meet in person there.
Yeah, no problem. I think we connected afterwards. Maybe that's why. So at NFT NYC, before that, everybody was like, we're so early. And I didn't quite understand what that meant until I went to NFT NYC and I was able to see in person, like all the things that are being created, all the innovation that's taking place in this space, and all the incredible creatives and creators that are in this space. Like Krista Kim, she said, we are the creators of the new world through NFTs. And I think that's so incredible. And like what she said, like of course we have a huge responsibility as well, but it is the future. It's like a very natural transition how humans move from one space to another and build a new one.
Yeah, I think it's about like just embracing the technology. And if you look back 30 years back when internet wasn't there, we still used to communicate through telephones or through letters, right? But then internet came across, and then we started communicating on emails, and then social media, or MSN Messenger, or that technology came across. So I think it's about like transitioning into new like territories and new technologies. And I think this is it seems so clear that this is the next way of communicating. I'm not saying that Twitter is going to go away. No, it's not. And telephones are still here, letters are still here, but it's just one more way of communicating with people
and connecting with them. Though I can do without WhatsApp, but that's another topic.
I know there's so many different ways to communicate with people, right? It's like, have you checked your WhatsApp or your Twitter DMs or your Instagram DMs or your email or your text messages or your Facebook messages? Yeah. There's just too many. So let's just add a few more, I guess, in the metaverse, and right. Then our lives will be complete, right? So talk to me about the gender gap that kind of exists in blockchain and in NFTs and in crypto, and why you feel in this NFT collection and how it's helping to address that.
Yeah. So firstly, I don't think the gender gap is a problem just in the NFT space or the blockchain space. I think it's a global, universal issue that we have at hand. If anything, this space has a very big potential to bridge that gap. So I feel like one way, and one very clear way how we can bridge the gender gap, is to look at which gender is, missing from the space and bring more of that in the space. It's that simple. So if there are less women in the space, if there are less girls in the space, just bring more women and girls into the space. And, that's what representation does. That's what seeing other projects, let's see, like setting an example, maybe like we are talking about like how ASCII, they used to talk about NFTs with me and that inspired this project, or, like what I'm doing in Web3 is like not anything new for me. I have been doing that for the past, like I've been creating series of illustrations that represent women from around the world. In simple words, that's what Womenrise is. And I think creating that is a good start, because you're creating representation, you're creating, a project that's representing more women, that's celebrating more women. Also, like how we are kind of as an individual project, like how we are bringing more women into the space by partnering with organizations I have worked with. So the organizations that we have spoken about so far, or the ones you see on our roadmap, that's just like a very small part of our partnerships. We are working with many other organizations as well. Again, the ones that I've worked in the past with. But then there's also like, for example, our partnership with Feminist, like a platform of 6.4 million people, like on Web2 on Instagram, and, educating them about NFTs, educating them about like why we need more women and girls into this space. And just today, I had a conversation with a huge organization, and just showing them the potential of NFTs. I think that's like how Womenrise and Womenrise team is like bringing more people into the space, and through that how we are trying to bridge the gender gap here. Another thing is like we need to think about intersectionality as well. We need to think about that. Yeah, we bring more women and girls into the space, but we make sure that we also keep the most marginalized groups in mind. So it's not just about bringing in women and girls from one country, or just from the US, or just from the UK, bringing like focusing on the most marginalized, because I feel like there are people in this world for you, for me, for Aski, a cell phone, a laptop, this is like a normal thing. Like this is so normal for us. There are people, or like social media even, that's so normal for us. I feel like there are people, there are communities who like they haven't even made it to Web 2 yet. And I feel like Web 3 has the potential that we can make them skip Web 2 completely and bring them onto Web 3. And I think that will help us bridging the gender gap, but also just in general, like a lot of the social issues that exist in our society generally.
Real fast, the difference between Web 2 and Web 3, Aski, can you just kind of briefly explain what is the difference between the two?
Maliha, do you want to take that one?
Okay. I guess like Web 2, like by definition, it's like, when we're talking about like, social media, like Instagram and Twitter. And, of course, like there's a lot of Web 3 stuff that's happening like on Twitter as well. But then I guess when we think about Web 3, that's like the Metaverse or, blockchain technology, all the different blockchains that are existing. I think that's like a good way to see it. What would be Web 1? Like Internet Explorer?
Kind of like the read-only web, right? I think that's what they talk about, Web 1, right? Like just brochure websites that you can't actually interact with or have like a,
I think it's the blockchain element of it, which I think makes it Web 3.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And so in some ways, this NFT collection gives you the platform to be able to connect with all these other organizations that maybe aren't already invested in blockchain technology or NFTs and say, like, look at how we are using this NFT collection to create representation. You said there were 10,000 different images that are part of this collection. Can you tell me a little bit about what goes into creating 10,000 different images?
Yeah. Well, for our collection, I created 450 plus assets, like, a bunch of different eyes, a bunch of different noses, skin colors. In terms of diversity, we wanted to be really mindful of, not just focusing on racial diversity, but focusing on like cultural diversity as well, religious diversity. Also, focusing on all the fields, like all the fields that women are, really killing it in, like science, technology, sports, art, activism, all of these different things. 10,000, like 450 assets that, more than 450 assets that I created, generated the 10,000 NFTs. And there are like 10 NFTs in there that are super, super rare, and they are inspired by like real life women. So just to give you well, I've already posted it on Instagram, on Twitter. So one of them is like Frida Kahlo. Another one is Aretha Franklin. I think by the time this episode comes out, all of them will be out there. But yeah, for now, those are the two.
Amazing. So those are not made up of all of the other traits. Those 10 are one of ones that you drew. And then the vast majority of the 10,000 are generated through an algorithm based on the traits, the 450 different elements or traits that you created. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Are there any other NFT collections that really inspire you or that inspired this project?
There aren't like any that inspired our project, but there are like NFT collections out there that we are quite excited about. And we feel like they need more love and more attention. One of them being Rebel Society by Frida. And I was just talking to her earlier as well, and I think her collection is incredible. I think women in the space, they're working very hard. And they're producing incredible collections. So that's one of the collections that I wanted to give a shout out to.
Amazing. And in terms of your NFT collection, how is it already, again, it hasn't even launched yet when we're recording this episode, but how is it already making its way into the cultural discourse?
Can you elaborate on the question? Like, what do you mean, like in terms of cultural discourse?
Yeah. Do you see the impact of Women Rise kind of being contained within kind of the NFT collecting community, or going beyond that?
Yeah, I think in terms of like how, so you're basically asking like how we're kind of impacting the space.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like we're definitely not scared to have difficult conversations. So you'll see like and I think like because there's like a different group on Web3 at the moment or in this space right now, which I think may not be used to having these conversations like about, you know, challenging like racism or challenging like, sexism or like understanding, let's say, experiences of women of color versus everyone else, or like all of these different things. Like I think that people are so used to debating about on Web2, on like social media in general. And I think we are not scared to like bring up those topics or like even hold people accountable sometimes. Like I feel like Women Rise, that's where our values are aligned. Like just one example I'll give you is like our DMs are like flooded every day with people, showing off their Twitter numbers. And they're like, I would love to promote, hey, bro, I would love to promote your project. And I'm like, hey, so not a bro, but thank you so much for the offer. Like, it's okay. They don't even like write, hey, Women Rise. They don't even like try that much. And I'm like, that's so easy to like drop some money and, like get that kind of marketing and have so much hype around your project. But at what cost? What kind of people will come to our Discord? What kind of people will end up buying our NFTs? They will be the people who just want to flip NFTs or see it as like kind of, they're not interested in the art, they're not interested in the movement, they're just interested in like, this aspect of NFTs, which is again a very small part of the culture, and just like flipping them, right? Trading them, flipping them, making money off them. Whereas we wanted to be very careful. We wanted to cultivate a community of newcomers. We wanted to bring more people. We are creating, and we have already put out educational resources as well. So I think, and we made sure like every person in our community knows that there are no like small questions, or so I'm not really sure like if I'm answering your question, but I feel like in terms of how we're looking, like we have heard this time and time again, like even like for example our whitelist or our pre-sale, like we did it in a very unorthodox way. Like people never ask for emails. They're like, okay, what's just sign up with your wallet. We asked for emails because we knew the new people in this community, when they hear sign up, they hear email. They don't know what a wallet sign up is. So we made sure that, yeah, there's a wallet, like, but there's also like an email sign up, and we can send them like an update or any educational resources we're creating. So, like just like small things, doing like small things like that to make your community a bit more confident, not just in your project, but in the space as well.
We didn't market our project the conventional way. The conventional way would have been, as soon as we put up our Twitter or our website, we would have asked different people to market it for us. And
influencers in the space.
Yeah, influencers in the space. But as Maliha said, we wanted we wanted to be very honest with ourselves. We wanted our project to be very honest. So we weren't looking for hundreds of thousands of people just buying this just for the sake of it, or for, flipping it. We wanted people who actually believe in the values of this project, of this team, because at the end of the day, the objective is not to sell this. It's the objective is to build a community of people who believe in the same values, and they wanna help you achieve that objective that you set for that community.
Yeah. And I think another thing is like one of the most difficult things, like bringing in new people into the space, is like the environmental impact question that we get. Sometimes people are nice about it, like nice about asking it. Sometimes they're just internet trolls who just attack you. But I think it's not as easy. Like, a lot of people say, oh, I want to bring more people into this space. And I'm not sure how many have tried, but we have tried, and we can tell you it takes a toll on your mental health. But that once you do educate them about like even with the environmental impact, like, there's a lot of misinformation, and our job is that, if you're taking up the responsibility of like bringing more people into this space, it is your responsibility to tell them that environmental impact and the right information about it as well. So, like being mindful about all of these things is a part of our project.
How are you addressing the environmental impact of the collection?
So I think the first point is just raising awareness about the factual, accuracies and inaccuracies, right? So I think people don't realize that this is, the NFT space is one space that is thinking about these challenges and they're being honest about it rather than, shrugging it under the rug.
Yeah.
So it's a very new space and people are talking about it from the word go. I mean, if you compare this to other industries, that is not true, right?
Like the banking industry, for example, like a building, electricity, all of this energy, but also like the NFTs are a very small part of like the entire ecosystem, right? So like why are we not like fighting? Why are you not going to the crypto billionaires and talking to them? Why are you coming to an artist and attacking them for trying to make a living in a new, through a new field? Because maybe like, the traditional field wasn't so nice to them. Or, for example, like if you want to talk about personal things, like me and SK, we don't own a car. We don't take long haul flights. We try to do whatever we can to be environmentally, sustainable. But it's not about personal. It's about like, even with our project, we're working with Nori, a female founded company, to offset the our entire carbon footprint, of Women Rise. So, like these kind of like, we are doing our part for our project, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. I'm trying to like, when I'm dealing with like new people, when we as a team are dealing with new people and we want to bring them into the space for their benefit so that there can be more equality and representation in this space, we also are telling them, we're not just telling them about Women Rise, we're not just telling them about ETH blockchain, we're telling them about Tezos, we're telling them about Palm, we're telling them about Nifties, we're telling them about Voice HQ, like all of these different blockchains and platforms that are environmentally friendly. So remove that mental barrier. There are, other options. You don't have to support us. You don't have to like us. Just remove that mental barrier for yourself. Like, don't listen to the media. Don't listen to these rich guys who are telling you Web3 or blockchain or crypto is not environmentally friendly, because we're about to see the biggest wealth transfer in history. And that's what they don't want, because with wealth, power follows. So
I think it's about like, telling people to educate themselves, because there are people with the agendas out there as well, right? So I think I was reading somewhere that the Ethereum network is 0.2% of the overall emissions, and NFTs is only 3% of that 0.2%.
Yeah,
only 3%. So you don't see people attacking, as Maliha said, people in the finance sector for using cryptos. But as soon as you have artists who are trying to take back the power, trying to, take it away from the curators and the galleries who've been exploiting artists for centuries, right? As soon as you have some artists trying to take back some power, people have a problem with that.
Yeah. So it's not only about the education. Obviously, it's a very nuanced story when you get into the environmental impacts, and each blockchain has a different approach and so these NFTs are going to be minted on the Ethereum blockchain, and you doing carbon offsets, which I think is incredible. And you're really helping to educate people along the way. You mentioned a few other charities that were also being supported through the project. Can you just quickly mention what those are?
So one of them is Malala Fund, which I mentioned, I have a long-term relationship with them. There's Girl Effect, which are also they're quite cool. So they're focused on the culture, changing the culture that impacts girls in, various countries. So if there's a culture in a country that's not allowing girls to go to school, or, are forcing them into child marriage, they're focused on that. Then there's the PAC project, which is focused on period poverty in various countries. And then there's Sola Afghan Girls School, which is focused on Afghan girls' education. And it's a school that fled Afghanistan and took their students with them. So those are the currently 4 organizations that we're working with. but we have a very long, plan. We have like a 5-year plan on like how we're working with various activists, and not just established organizations, but also, for example, like our activist club, we are going to be helping activists build their own organizations as well.
Incredible. I think so many NFT projects, they are so focused on just kind of the launch that they don't even know what's coming afterward. And so hearing that you have kind of a 5-year plan about how to support these organizations and integrate with them, I think gives a lot of confidence in kind of what's to come in the future. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to share, or anything that I haven't asked about that you think is important for people to understand about this project, or the vision that you have for this project, or kind of what you're bringing to it?
Yeah, Aski, do you want to add something?
I think for me, it's the wider aspect of the blockchain technology, right? So I would encourage people to do their own research and realize the potential. I think a year from now, it's not just the artists, it's not just the people in finance industry. You're going to have a lot of industries using blockchain technology for a lot of things. Yeah. So just stay close to this, because this is an opportunity. So yeah, I would encourage people to just stay close to it and just educate yourself, and follow people who are in the space. Yeah.
I think for me, and in relationship to Women Rise, I'll just say that, or, anybody who wants to start, let's say like a new project, you may not want to do a female-focused project. You may not want to do a social justice-focused project. For us, we did a project because that's what we know. That's like, that's what we're most knowledgeable about. That's what we're most experienced in. So you can literally create a project, about anything. I've seen all kinds of different things here. But I feel like start with NFTs just because it's a great gateway. Like, just look at different artists, connect with them. They're not just like visual artists. They're also like, musicians here, architects, like different sort of creatives. I think it's a great gateway for people to kind of digest the space and kind of be like, okay, this is something where I can exist. Because I was one of those people where I was like, blockchain, crypto, what am I going to do in this space? Like, this is not for me. Until I came across like, NFTs, and I was like, oh, okay, art, I understand that. That's pretty much it. I think, Danny, you asked really great questions. So we were able to like cover the information about the project. Yeah.
Well, I really wish you the best of success in the launch of the project and its kind of continuing growth of the future. Maliha, Aski, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Danny. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
If you would like to learn more about Women Rise, you can check out their website, womenrise.art, or follow them on Twitter at womenrise.nft. And please follow me on Twitter at Danny Green. There's an E at the end of green. And shoot me a DM if you're a changemaker or you know a changemaker who wants to be on the show. Thanks for listening.